Charles Darwin's nearly 5-year journey aboard the HMS Beagle would become one of the most important scientific expeditions in the history of humanity. In Darwin's own words,
The voyage of the Beagle has been by far the most important event in my life and has determined my whole career.
on January 12, 1836, the Beagle arrived in Sydney. During his stay in the British colony, Darwin encountered a creature that left him baffled. It had the fur of a mammal, yet it laid eggs. It nursed its young, yet it had venom, webbed feet, and even a bill that resembled a duck's. It disturbed and fascinated Darwin, who wrote,
Compared to the rest of the world's animals, they were so strange that one might think two distinct creators must have been at work.
its strange blend of traits defied scientific understanding of the time and would help shape Darwin's revolutionary theory of evolution, a theory that would go on to challenge religious institutions, the divine right of kings, and the very social structures that society was built on. This was no ordinary animal. It was the platypus. When the first platypus specimen was sent to Europe, many scientists believed it was a hoax. The animal's combinations were too strange and bizarre to be real. And hoaxes were common at the time. Like something out of a Mary Shelley novel, people would sew together different animal body parts and pretend that they had discovered a new species. It would be English zoologist George Shaw who first scientifically described the platypus in 1799.
It naturally excites the idea of some deceptive preparation by artificial means.
After closer study, he confirmed that it was indeed genuine. For the Aboriginal people of Australia, there was no question regarding the existence of the platypus. It was just real. And for many of them, it was a culturally significant animal, with important roles in Dreamtime stories and creation myths. A Dreamtime story is a traditional Aboriginal tale that explains creation, nature, and cultural values. One of the stories from the Upper Darling River region tells of a duck and a water rat whose union gives rise to the platypus, explaining the unusual mix of features. In another, the platypus is desired by mammals, birds, and water creatures because of its unique and shared traits. After deliberation, the platypus chooses not to join a single group, and instead declares that everyone is special in their own way. Together, these stories highlight respecting differences and explain the platypus's special place in nature. Before we go any further, we need to address a controversial topic. What is the correct plural for the word platypus? Gentlemen, you have the floor.
Look, here's the deal, folks. It's platypuses. That's the standard. You go to Merriam-Webster, Oxford, you'll see it right there, platypuses. I've been around a long time, and let me tell you, I forgot where I am.
Wrong. Totally wrong, Joe. Everybody says platypi. It sounds better, more classy. Believe me, I know words. I have the best words, and platypi is the best one.
The actual correct answer is platypuses. Now, the reason that's the correct plural has nothing to do with the actual animal and everything to do with the English language. See, the word platypus comes from the Greek roots platies, meaning flat, and pos, meaning foot. Since it's not Latin, it would not have the Latin plural ending I. Platypuses are found only in eastern and southeastern Australia, where they live in freshwater environments like rivers, streams, lakes, and ponds. Platypuses prefer places with stable riverbanks for digging burrows and plenty of native vegetation for shade and cover. So what makes the platypus unique? We already know that it's strange. It has a duck-like bill and webbed feet, adapt for swimming, fur, which is a more mammalian trait, And male platypuses have venomous spurs, meaning that male platypuses are quite literally toxic. Welcome to the Platypodcast, the most masculine podcast in all of maledom. And this podcast will learn how you can be an alpha male just like me. Mom, don't come in here. I'm doing my show.
I am sorry, my middle-aged son, that lives in my basement. But your pizza rolls are ready.
Oh, well, I do love pizza rolls. While you're here, can you help me with my laundry? I don't know how the washing machine works. This animal combines both the traits of birds, reptiles, and mammals in what may seem impossible, but actually makes a lot of sense upon further reflection. You see, platypuses belong to a rare group of mammals known as monotremes. These are egg-laying mammals. Monotremes are an ancient branch of mammals that diverged from other mammalian lines about 166 million years ago. Today, only 5 species remain: the platypus and 4 species of echidna. Well, echidnas are mostly land dwellers that use their long stick-like tongue to eat ants and termites. The platypus has taken a very different path, adapting to life in the water. Unlike most mammals, female platypuses lay eggs in burrows and feed their young without nipples. Instead, milk seeps through the pores in their skin and collects in grooves on their bellies. That way, their young little puggles, the name of baby platypuses, can lap up the milk. Yet, what might make the platypus more distinct is what they lack. You see, the platypus has no stomach. Instead of food moving from the esophagus into the stomach, it goes straight into the small intestine. Scientists have found that the platypus is missing key genes and features needed for stomach function, such as those for producing gastric acid and digestive enzymes like pepsin. Why is this? Most likely, it's because of their diet. The platypus eats a diet of aquatic invertebrates. These invertebrates have shells that neutralize stomach acid. So over time, the stomach became unnecessary, and evolution did its work by making it disappear. The platypus diet consists of more than just aquatic invertebrates, though. It also consists of worms, insects, and larvae. So where does the platypus find all of this food? Well, fortunately for the platypus, it's an excellent swimmer. But it doesn't rely on its sight, its hearing, or its ability to smell to find its prey. In fact, they close their eyes, ears, and nose while underwater, relying instead on electroreceptors in their bill, essentially detecting the movement of the animal in order to find it. The platypus possesses traits that would have been more aligned with ancient and more basal mammals. In other words, the platypus is not the weirdo. It's not some sort of Frankenstein's monster. I'm closer to an original mammal. It's you humans that are the strange ones.
Son, are you going to get a job?
Scientists have concluded that the strange traits of the platypus enabled it to thrive in a continent full of unique wildlife. But these traits could only protect it for so long. As colonization of the continent began, this extraordinary creature faced a sobering reality. Researchers claim that the platypus population had already declined by 40% since European colonization. Some estimates reported an even greater drop, over 50%. The best estimates place the platypus population around 50,000. The number is still declining. And in 2014, the UICN Red List of Threatened Species listed the platypus as nearly threatened. There are many native predatory animals that seek the platypus out as a food source, but the most significant threat is not native to the land down under. Feral cats, domesticated dogs, and foxes have become instrumental in lowering platypus populations. Feral cats are opportunistic, predators. They reduce platypus populations by preying on eggs, puggles, and sometimes even adults. The Australian Platypus Conservancy has recorded many cases of platypuses being killed by dogs or foxes. An analysis of platypus deaths in Victoria from the 1980s to 2009 showed that nearly 51 of all reported deaths were due to predation. In 87% of these recorded instances, the platypuses had fallen victim to either a dog or a fox. One of the biggest dangers is habitat destruction. When rivers are cleared, when dams are built, or when water levels drop, platypuses lose the safe places they need to feed and build burrows. Then there's pollution. To quote research from the Australian Platypus Conservancy,
platypus are completely protected by law across Australia. Nevertheless, more than 80% of all platypus mortalities reported to the Australian Platypus Conservancy from 1989 to 2009, where the cause of death could be reliably assigned, were directly related to human activities.
the greatest threat to the platypus, responsible for more than half of all deaths, is drowning in illegal nets and traps meant for fish and crustaceans. Entire groups are often wiped out in a single incident, with several platypuses found dead at once, tangled and suffocated beneath the water. Fishing nets, plastic cable ties, and six-pack holders have led to harrowing encounters, where the platypus finds itself struggling to escape. Each movement only digs the item deeper and deeper into its skin, until it either breaks off or results in the platypus's demise. But here's the good news. We can all help. If you live in Australia, you can join the citizen science projects like Platypus Watch to record sightings, or you can support habitat restoration, dispose of fishing gear properly, keep pets away from rivers, and volunteer for conservancy groups. If you're outside of Australia, you can still make a difference. Donate to organizations like the Australian Platypus Conservancy or the WWF. Every voice, every donation, every action can help protect the platypus. Together, we can make sure that these remarkable animals survive for generations to come.
Zoology.